Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a pretty sweet game that I had in the Saint Louis, the Tier 9 French heavy cruiser. I'm playing on my EU account, and I'm playing by myself some domination here on the map Sea of Fortune. So for my captain's build, well, it's pretty standard. I would say that it's probably closest to my Japanese high-tier heavy cruiser build in the sense of you got Adrenaline Rush, Expert Marksman, Demolition Expert, Concealment, and Superintendent. Those perks all help out with the longevity, where you get the extra heal, and then in this case, you get the extra speed boost, so you can get in and out of danger a lot quicker than other cruisers. And then, if you do have the Special French Commander, you can put on the Expert Marksman, which is buffed a little bit more so than a standard captain would be, and then they also get Adrenaline Rush buffed as well, which is nice. So it really leads into that medium to long range HE spamming playstyle, where you're going to be able to influence the course of the battle by doing one thing and one thing only, and that's dealing damage to enemy ships. So the focus of this replay is going to be a pretty good example of how to do exactly that, and we're going to go into, during the course of this replay, the positioning that I take and why I am doing that. So, as you can see, 11.7 kilometer concealment. That is a full concealment build for this ship, and it is rather poor for the high-tier cruisers. A lot of them are able to out-detect you at 11.7 kilometers. There's only a select few ships like the Dmitry Donskoy, the Moskva, Stalingrad, so a lot of the Soviet heavy cruisers you do outspot, but pretty much everything else, with a few exceptions, they are going to be able to out-detect you. So this is a ship that does not want to get into close quarters combat, especially at the beginning of the game. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Sneaky, then why is your positioning where it is right now? I wanted to try to get as close to the sea cap that I could, still within reasonable range of helping out my friendly destroyers. You can see that there is an Asashio and a Z-46, but of course, at the very first sign of trouble, I'm already turned away in a kiting position with my speed boost active and deployed. Now, the French cruisers have access to the speed boost. It's one of the two flavors, the other being that reload booster, and you need to take advantage of them over the course of the game if you're going to be able to help your team to win. Now, that enemy Akazuki is about 10 kilometers away from me, which is rather close for a French cruiser, and unfortunately, the first couple salvos here are rather poor, as I'm not able to accurately judge which way that he is moving, but I do use my reload booster to try to help out that Asashio any way that I can, but unfortunately that guy is eating a lot of damage, and I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to get out of dodge, and he also dropped his torps. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about the Asashio. Getting back to the gameplay. Yeah, this Saint Louis, the French cruiser playstyle, medium to long range HE spam for the majority of the beginning and even the mid stages of the game is going to do you well. And you can see that the position that I have selected is rather good. Long range shots from battleships over in the vicinity of the A cap, well, I'm far enough to the east where I don't have to worry about that. And the only battleship that's currently detected right now is that Bismarck. So he's the only person that I'm aware of that's going to be able to do a considerable amount of damage to me. So this guy is going to be the focus here at the beginning stages of the game. And it's pretty simple. The Saint Louis has excellent performing guns. The reload's great. The range upgraded of 18.3 is fantastic. The shell ballistics are good. The fire chance is great. The HE shell damage, while not as top tier as the Japanese heavy cruisers, is still pretty good. And your maneuverability at range, especially with the speed boost, and you can see that there are many occasions where I am viciously speeding up and slowing down. And if you combine that with propulsion mod too, it does make hitting you at ranges of, I'd say, 12 kilometers and over, maybe 14 or 15 to be safe, makes it very, very difficult. And I'm going to be able to save a lot of my hit points for the later stages of the game, which, while is not necessarily just a French cruiser-centric thing, it definitely helps in these ships. Now you can see here, I'm also getting some stealth shots over the island that's to the east of sea. I am well behind it, and those two destroyers, those two enemy DDs, are not within line of sight due to the island and due to smoke. And being able to find positions like these in your cruisers is essential, especially so in your French boys, because again, being able to deal damage is the #1 goal in these cruisers, and being able to do so undetected is just a little bit more icing on the cake. Now, I've completely driven that Bismarck away from the cap. He had to make his turn out, and I do have 2 fires burning on that guy, so he will be ticking for quite some time. And you can see by being able to clear out the battleship, along with the enemy Chapayev being focused down by my team, we have now created a wide open area for somebody to potentially get on the sea cap and get it for our team. You can see that the Bismarck is still well off to the north now. He's actually turning back in to engage, but he still has the 2 fires burning. And of course, I'm going to continue to stealth fire at him, and I'm going to continue to rain in the high explosive shells. Now, when I did grind this ship on my NA account, which would have been the fall of 2017, oh boy, it was a while ago now, huh? The cruisers, the French cruisers back then, did not have access to the reload booster, but they did have the stock reload of 8.8 seconds if you put on main battery modification 3, before you factored in adrenaline rush. So they don't have the same reload that they used to, but that the main battery reload booster is exceptionally valuable on these ships, because if enemy battleships, for instance, use their damage control, or maybe you come across a cruiser or a destroyer at closer ranges than you'd like to, being able to use that reload booster is fantastic, because you're going to be able to get your reload down when you use it to anywhere from 4.5 to 5 seconds around that area, and you can put on a lot of hurt in a very short amount of time. Now you can see I'm still in a kiting position. I'm probably a little bit too close to the sea cap than I'd rather be, but I do have 3 fires burning on that Bismarck, and as soon as he turned back in, he didn't even know it at the time, but his fate was secured, and there's absolutely no way that he can disengage from this. You can also see that plenty of friendlies, including some BBs and destroyers, are moving up the 8, 9, and 10 line, and we do have an Edinburgh that's about ready to get on the sea cap. So at this point, the only threat that is going to be coming into our vicinity, into the objective areas, is going to be the massive enemy ships that decided to take the long way, around the A capture point. So I'm up to 103,000 points of damage, and obviously the majority of that was against the Bismarck, but I cannot stress it enough, guys. If someone wants to rail you for, oh, you're damage farming in these things, this is exactly what you need to do. If there's one cruiser line that is your sole goal and your sole focus, it is this one. And it's the same with the Charles Martel, the Algerie. I'd say, again, probably starting at the Mille Bertin and going all the way up the line. If you're not dealing damage, then you're not playing these things correctly. And with just under 7 minutes gone in the game, I was able to get a Witherer as I put a fire on that Friedrich de Grosse, who decided to stop right there. Now, just because you're sitting in the back and damage farming, it is somewhat easy to lose track of what's going on. Now you can see here, I'm detected. Now, the Musashi is out of my gun range, so there's no way that it could be him. And that Freddy, I have an island in between him and I. So the Musashi nor the Freddy is responsible for spotting me. So what does that mean? There is something to the south of both of those battleships, within 18.3 kilometers of me, that was getting line of sight. So there's only 2 enemy destroyers left. One of them is last reported north of B, so my best guess, my gut, is going to tell me that the other destroyer is potentially chasing down the Bismarck in open water. So with that information, I'm going to position myself for this enemy push that is certain to be coming here through the B cap, not just on it, in the next couple of minutes. So what I decide to do here is I'm first going to head to the southwest to see if I can get or if somebody can get line of sight on any of those battleships that are sure to be moving into the vicinity of the B capture point. But at the same time, I do not want to stray too far to the southwest, because of course the San Luis concealment is garbage for a tier 9 cruiser, and if I stray too close to that Kitakazi, he's going to be able to rip me, because I don't have the radar nor good hydro to potentially rush his smoke screen down and take care of him. So at this point, I'm going to turn away. There's no reason for me to stray too close to that guy. At least I'm guessing where his position is. And you can also see that some of the other BBs, including the Izumo, took some shots at me. And what do you know? The Kitakazi was at 11.2 kilometers. So if it wasn't for me turning away right now, I would now be permanent detected if that guy decided to not use his smoke screen, and I would be in a world of hurt, unable to get away from potentially 3 different battleships, albeit they are at around the same angle, so angling wouldn't be too difficult. It would be very difficult for me to disengage. So I decided to do what French cruisers do best. Run away. Haha, sorry, terrible French joke. But anyway, I'm now in a position where I can farm down these battleships that are now pushing through the B capture point. As you can see that my team has basically formed quite the gang of pain east of the B capture point. So I'm going to start focusing here on the target that is in the lead, which is, of course, the Bismarck. However, any second now, I realize that the Izumo did eat a torpedo from that salvo of torps that went in to the B capture point, and this is a perfect example of when to use your reload booster. If you guys didn't catch it, that battleship ate a torp about 20 seconds ago from somebody's torpedo salvo, so this is the perfect time to be able to get 4 very quick salvos downrange utilizing the reload booster. And quite frankly, it doesn't have that long of a reload, so you can see that I only have to wait a little bit over a minute until the next one comes back, and that reload booster definitely comes in handy as I managed to get 2 fires burning on that Izumo. So with that guy burning, what am I going to do? I'm going to start working down the next high health battleship that's in the area. You can see that some of my friends have now turned back into the enemy team. There's the Iowa and the Key, which are pushing in, and even the Bismarck is turning around. So I feel a little bit more confident now to turn back in and ensure that those ships do not be able to get out of the range of my guns. And like I said, the San Luis has excellent range, so I'm able to hit all of those battleships at my own will. The Izumo continues to burn down. He is on fire in still both of the places, until finally the one on the superstructure goes out, and the last salvo that hit the Freddy, I pick up the high caliber as I'm up to 184,000 points of damage, which is fantastic. You can see here, I'd probably be better off shooting armor piercing into the Izumo. However, before my next set of shells lands, the Iowa is able to take care of business, so I go back to farming the Freddy as he, for whatever reason, continues to back up. Now what you're going to see here is a pretty good play that I'm going to make once again from the positioning aspect. You can see that the enemy team has decided to turn north and go through the B capture point before swinging around to the southeast. And I'm aware of this right now. There's the Charles Martel, there's the Kitakaze, and there's the Musashi. So the last thing that I want to do is stray too far to the north, because of course when they're able to round the corner, they're going to get a nice angle to work with. They just killed the friendly Kitakaze, and the friendly Iowa that's just off to the northeast of my position is in a or the northwest of my position is in a very bad spot. There's torpedoes and whatnot coming in at him, and that Musashi is about ready to round the corner. So what needs to happen is that this Freddy, first of all, needs to die, and I need to be able to put myself in a position where I'm not going to allow that Musashi to get a shot into me. So you can see that I'm continuing to move towards the island that's in front of me. I'm going to pass just in front of my friend in the Izumo, but this battleship needs to die, so then I can safely put the island in between myself and that enemy Japanese battleship. I open up a little bit too much broadside, and I do eat what appears to be a pen and an overpen from that Freddy, but that's okay, because now I'm in a safe place where that Musashi is unable to get shots at me, and all we got to do is finish off this Friedrich der Grosse, and we will be in business. Somebody puts him down to 900 hit points, and I get the kill. And unfortunately, right as I use my heal, I accidentally fat-fingered my keyboard with the tiny fingers that I have somehow, and I used one of my 2 remaining reload boosters. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take advantage of this Musashi here coming up really shortly that I should be able to, but all of a sudden a few of our ships have died, especially at the expense of those 2 enemy Kitakazes that are still lying around, and things are looking a little bit more dangerous than they were about 2 minutes ago. Now this would be an absolutely perfect time to utilize the reload booster on the broadside. I am too close to this battleship, but I still have 31,000 hit points to work with, which is okay for the mid to late stages of the game. But right now, if I had the reload booster with the AP, I could be dumping some 6-7K AP salvos into the side of that Japanese battleship every 5 to 6 seconds. So unfortunately, I done goofed, and I was not able to take advantage of it. But right before he gets behind the island, RNG throws me a bone and says, "Hey, that's okay, man. There's a fire for you." Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I make in this game, arguably the biggest mistake, is about ready to come right here. And you can see that the enemy Kitakaze that was last spotted to the southwest was moving to the west. So I am out of the detection range of 11.7 because that guy is well off to my stern. And now, since the Musashi is dead, and that other Kitakaze decided to use his smokescreen, as soon as my gun bloom goes down, I do get undetected before that Kitakaze can start railing into me. But unfortunately, the Musashi, well, he set his planes up. And because the San Luis has crappy detection, a little over 7.2 kilometers, unfortunately, I get hard detected by the planes. And for some reason, I wasn't understanding this at the time, so I didn't pop my defensive fire, and now I'm in a very bad situation because I already used my repair, and now this Kitakaze is absolutely blazing away at me. I am returning the favor into the smoke, trying to dissuade him from continuing to shoot at me as I do pick up the Confederate, and you can see that I have landed quite a few shells on target at that guy, still trying to persuade him to shoot at me, but he realizes that I am rather low and potentially killable at this situation. So unfortunately, he also gets 3 fires because generally when you make a mistake, RNG decides to compound that mistake by really screwing you over. But fortunately, because I had all of those hit points that I was able to save by not taking damage at the beginning of the game, I will be able to make it through that very large error without actually dying, which is important because even though we outnumber the enemy team 6 ships to 2, both of those guys are destroyers, and both of those destroyers have the 32mm plus pen that those Japanese 100mm are able to get. So if they play it correctly, they can start killing off the low health ships, including me, and potentially win this game as we've reached the 4-minute and 51 mark of the replay. If you've lost track of the damage, well, I have too, and we're sitting at 250,000 points of damage, which for any cruiser is fantastic. For a French cruiser, that's a very healthy amount of damage. You can see that that other enemy, Kitakaze, is at full health. And it's a very good thing that I did not stray too far to the west when those enemy ships were starting to push through B, and I did not get caught within assured detection, because that would have been a very bad situation. So I guess the rule of thumb for the French cruisers, when in doubt, you need to turn away. When in doubt, you need to keep the distance away from the threats that are in your vicinity, because it's only going to help you out. So, now, you might be asking, well, Sneaky, didn't you say to stay so far away? Well, yes, of course. At the very end of the game, late stage, when plays need to be made, obviously I got on the cap on the B point, and I was able to get a solo base capture out of it. So at the end of the game, when you need to make a play, or you need to do stuff to help your team out, well, this was kind of a warranted situation to close the distance to those enemy ships. So I kind of went against my own advice, I suppose, on that first Kitakaze that managed to get 3 fires on me, but I misjudged the ability of the Musashi to launch up his plane and keep me perma-detected. So I obviously made a big mistake right there, and I probably should have just turned away to play it safe, but at the end of the day, we didn't die because we had the hit points, so whatever. The Iowa decides to go flying around the corner with HE loaded, and as he shoots, well, he completely whiffs it, so whatever. But I know that the Kitakaze is going to drop his torpedoes. Now, we all know that they have one launcher of 6, but it does have the torpedo reload booster. So instead of flying through the channel, I'm going to wait to see if he used his torpedo reload booster. And because the Iowa was at full health, I figured that he might, and that's exactly what he did. So now I know that that guy does not have his torpedoes ready to go, and they're not going to be ready for at least another 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to go flying around the corner with my guns ready to go. Now, you're probably also thinking, well, Snake, it'd be nice if you had that one reload booster, right? Well, yeah. There's so many consumables on these French boys that sometimes, well, hitting the wrong one is inevitable. But anyway, I come around the corner. He's at 18,000 hit points. The first salvo does a very nice chunk for over 4K, but the game is about to end as we reach 1,000 points. So let's take a look at the post-battle results. Alrighty guys, taking a look at the post-battle results, 878,000 credits received, 15,500 total experience. This was my first win of the day. I picked up 5 medals, including Witherer, Arsonist, Confederate, High Caliber, and Dreadnought, picking up 254,000 points of damage off of 277 shell hits. I only sank 1 ship, but I did set 21 fires and had 1 solo base capture. Taking a look at the team score, 2,658 base XP. Certainly not the highest that I've seen in a San Luis replay, and definitely not the highest that I've had. But obviously, I was able to make my impact on the game by dealing a very large amount of damage to the enemy battleships. Taking a look at the detailed report, this really tells the story. 113K with the HE and 140,000 extra. So basically 2 1/3 Witherers with the fires that I was able to set. Now sure, I did get, I don't want to say lucky, but I did get my fair share of fires dealt to the enemy team. You can see that the Freddy ate 75,000 damage from me. The Bismarck, a pretty ridiculous 88,800, considering he starts out around 68.3 HP. I really burned that guy down. And then another 54,000 damage combined on the Musashi and the Izumo. But again, I still did 12k to the Kitakaze and another 12k to the Chapayev for 13k about. So whenever you can get shots on the cruisers and the destroyers, you definitely need to take the shots. But definitely getting those BBs burned down is something that this ship is great at, and the French cruisers as a whole are very good at doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this replay. It was definitely a pretty exciting game, and is a good example of the kind of gameplay that you're going to be able to have really good games in if you follow what you saw here in this replay. This is the Sneaky Snake for BIA World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, as always, please comment, please like, please share the videos. We really enjoy to communicate and talk to you guys in the comment section. So thank you for all the support that you give us, and as always, have a great day.